friends, I decided to come outside so I had plenty of space. If you're in a small space, you can always change everything that I'm doing to little movements. If you're in a big space like a living room or a backyard, feel free to make it as big as you like. But we are going to go ahead and get our bodies ready to listen to the story time. So, to start out, we're gonna raise our arms up, up, up high, so high to the sky. Can you reach it? Oh my goodness, I can see the sky. Beautiful. Then we're gonna come down, 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 and touch our toes. Touch our toes, tap, tap, tap. Then we're gonna come back up. We're gonna stretch out our leg, and we're gonna roll our ankle. Can you see that? Roll our ankles. I know you can't see my toes, but now I'm gonna wiggle my toes. Can you balance on one leg? Are you balancing well? Sometimes I have to put my foot down. Now we're gonna switch legs and roll that ankle. Roll it out, and wiggle our toes. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle our toes. You can't see them, but I promise they're wiggling in there. All right, now that our ankles and our toes are ready, we're gonna get our knees ready. Ready? Can you do this? Can you touch your knees and cross your arms? Going in and out. Crisscross, crisscross. You're doing so great. All right, now that we got our knees ready, we're gonna do a lunge. You know how to do a lunge? You step forward and bend down. Whoa. Let's try it again with the other foot. Step forward and bend down. That was great. Okay. Forward, down. Ooh, I'm getting better at it. Forward, down. Okay, one more. Forward, down. And one more. Forward and down. Awesome. Now, we're gonna try to do a squat where we reach up and we bend down like we're sitting almost. Squat, down again like we're sitting. And one more. Down again like we're sitting. Ooh, I'm starting to feel it. My body's getting ready for story time. Okay, the last thing we're gonna do is take our arms big and wide. Stretch them as far as they can go out. Far as they can go out. And then we're gonna bring them in, wrap them around your body, and give yourself a big hug. Big hug. All right, now that our bodies are ready, let's go ahead and get into the story time. Now that our bodies are ready, let's go ahead and get our brains ready. You know what time it is? It's time for Rella's Riddle. Okay, so how this is gonna work is I'm gonna give you 3 hints, and then I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to guess. You might get it after the first hint, you might get it after the second hint. And then I'll give you some pictures to help as well. So we're gonna get this together. And either way, no matter what happens, as long as you're thinking and imagining, that's great. All right? Okay, so hint number 1. You may think that I live under your bed. Oh my goodness, what do you think lives under your bed sometimes? All right, hint number 2. Sometimes you will see me in movies or you'll read about me in a book. Do you know what it is? I don't know either. Let's see, what's hint number 3? Hint number 3 is, I'm not real. I'm just in your imagination and stories sometimes. You know what it is? Here's some more hints up top and pictures. You still guessing? All right, so if you guessed a monster, you would be correct. Why are we talking about monsters? We're talking about monsters today because we are going to be reading an awesome story. But normally we think that monsters are just for October and Halloween time, but this monster actually loves holidays. We're not going to read the whole story, we're just going to read a chapter of it. And then if you like it, you might want to get it and read it, but I'm super excited to share it with you. So now that we know that we're going to be talking about monsters, you know there's a couple different ways to say monsters. Let's go over the ways that we can say monster in Spanish and in sign language. In sign language, or American Sign Language, It's like this. That's how you say monster. Can you do that? All right, and in Spanish, it's monstro. Monstro. That's pretty easy to remember. Now let me show you the book that we're going to be reading. Hi friends, I invite you to go ahead and get comfy. We're ready to read our book today. Don't forget, it's about monsters. So today we actually have a chapter book. It's pretty big, so we're just going to read the prologue in chapter 1. Are you ready? This is The Monsters of Marymount Mansion. Written by Gregory G. Allen and illustrated by Shelby Goodwin. Look at that little monster on the front. How cute. Prologue. "Toby, wake up," he heard his mother saying. Had he really been asleep that long? He felt like he had just seen the moon rise high in the October sky from the small window where he would watch the outside world. When you lived with strict rules the way he did, the days would run together and nighttime would go by too quickly. He often found himself very bored. What 8-year-old should have to live this way? He asked anyone who would listen. But no response came. Just the sound of his own voice echoing off the musty walls after his mom has left him. Toby tried to think of something that could bring him happiness for the day. It was October, and October meant one of his favorite holidays, Halloween. Chapter 1. Fall was in the air around the historic mansion at the top of the hill in the small town of Reddington. Celeste Marymount and her staff, married couple Rick and Margaret Harley, were hanging up Halloween decorations around the mansion, which had been passed down through generations of Marymounts after her. Even though she had very few guests, it was always important that the place be fully decorated each holiday. "Sometimes I'm getting too old for this," Celeste said. "Being in your 70s isn't old," Rick replied. "Tell that to my niece and nephew. We haven't seen them in so long," Margaret said as she hung bat wings around the fireplace. "Those two are older with families of their own," Celeste said. "They take after their dad and they don't care about making it back to their family home." "We care," Rick announced. "And I appreciate it," Celeste said. "Sometimes I think you two are more like my family than my actual family." "Family is what you make of it," Margaret observed. "We are chosen family." "I like that," Celeste said. Family had always been important to Celeste. It was the generations before her that opened the mansion to the public as a place for people to spend the night and wake up to a delicious home-cooked meal. Guests were greeted each morning by the smell of delicious biscuits and gravy, sizzling sausage in the pan the moment the neighborhood rooster woke them with its vocal alarm. Famous celebrities and politicians had found rest in the rooms of this very cozy home for years. But as the town of Reddington changed and the new highways didn't lead downtown, the number of customers had dwindled. Now the mansion was lucky to get a few guests throughout the year. "I need to get out on that porch and fix some of those creaky boards this weekend," Rick said. "I don't know," Margaret chimed in. "It sort of had spooky house on the hill feel to the season." She turned on some music, and the three laughed and danced around the room. Celeste let out a "ooh," giving her best ghost impersonation. Suddenly, there was a creak on the basement door down the hallway as if someone was turning the doorknob. "Did anybody hear that?" Margaret asked, wide-eyed. "I didn't hear anything," Celeste said. "Must have been the wind," Margaret uttered, glancing around. "You're always hearing noises in this old house," Rick interjected. "You can't help it," Celeste said. "The noises are all a part of being the 150-year-old home. So where should we put these jack-o'-lanterns?" The subject successfully changed. The other two went back to putting up the Halloween decorations, while Celeste headed to the kitchen to bake some cookies. Even though there were no paying guests at the moment, there were others in the house who loved the smell of baking cookies. Celeste had often thought of sharing her secret with Margaret and Rick, but wasn't sure how they would take it.
She had been sitting on the mysterious information for decades. She had never even told anyone in her family the secret of Marymount Mansion. No one else knew about the monsters who lived in the basement. That's right. Celeste wasn't alone, as she always had company living beneath her. It had been her idea several decades before to allow the monsters to come upstairs when she would throw big Halloween parties. They loved that they could mingle with their guests, as everyone thought they were dressed up for the occasion. The guests would come as witches, mummies, vampires, and the monsters would fit right in, sometimes winning the best costume contest at the end of the night. Through the years, Celeste had become close with the monsters. She was never frightened of them. They had their own families and carried about their business in the basement. She would see to it that they had food, and they looked forward to the one night a year where they could come out of the basement and join the townspeople. She'd witnessed monster weddings and monster births. She felt as if they were extra family members. Celeste was lucky to have the Monsters of Marymount, and she believed they felt lucky for having her. "Hold up your end on that cobweb," she heard Margaret say to Rick down the hall. The two worked just as hard as she did to get the place ready. There was one particular monster that she knew loved Halloween, and she looked at him as if he was her own grandchild, Toby. She was there when Toby was born and had watched him take his first steps, speak for the first time, and read his first book. Toby did everything other little girls and boys did. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a monster, Celeste believed that he could have gone to school and became a very smart child. But Toby was different from the children in town. He looked different. With his furry green skin that felt something like a cross between a fish's and a dog's, he sounded different because his accent wasn't always the same as humans. He smelled different, which wasn't a bad thing, since he smelled like cotton candy. When Toby got nervous or excited, he would let off a huge cloud of the sugary stuff. Celeste knew it had been Toby trying to come upstairs earlier. He always wanted to get out of the basement. The closer they got to Halloween, the more excited and impatient he would become. "We're heading out now," Rick announced, standing in the kitchen doorway. "The day goes by so quickly with your help. You two have a wonderful evening at home," Celeste said. "You too. Enjoy the stillness of the mansion." "We'll see you tomorrow," Margaret added, as they went outside. The sun was starting to go down, and Celeste watched as Rick and Margaret's car drove away. She locked the front door, dimmed the lights in the big, spacious house, and went to the kitchen to pick up the plate of cookies. She made her way down the long hallway to the large door that separated from the basement dwellers. The door opened with a creak as she slowly started down the steps. "Toby, I know that was you earlier trying to go upstairs," Celeste called. "Come out of the shadows and talk to me." And that's the end of chapter 1. That was a great chapter. If you want to finish The Monsters of Marymount Mansion, check the link below with your parents and you can buy it and read it yourself. That was a great story, huh? It was really interesting that the monsters were scared to come out. The only day of the year they could come out is Halloween. How do you think that would make you feel if you could only come out and be a part of the town and enjoy festivities on one day a year? That would probably be pretty hard, huh? Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to find out who our co-creators are. Show us co-creators in the app. Tell us, tap, tap, tap. Hello, smartphone, tell us today. Did all our friends have fun and play? I hear my friends, Levi, Samantha, Chloe, Layla, Porter, Hannah, and Lillian had fun today. Won't you join us another day? Thanks so much for joining me with Rella B Books and Reading with Rella. If you'd like to enjoy screen free time, I do have a podcast as well where we share stories. If you would like to be a co-creator, check out rellabooks.com. And if you would like to purchase any of the books that I talked about, the links will be down below. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye!